Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of my stream. We haven't met before. My name is Mark Mandel. I am a developer advocate for games for Google Cloud Platform. I'm going to be working today on a project called Agones, which is an open source project for running and scaling dedicated game servers on top of Kubernetes. It's an open source stack from end to end for running fast-paced multiplayer games. Thank you for joining me once more. I have my cup of tea, very important. As long as I have a cup of tea, everything will be okay. So today should be interesting, actually. Actually, you know what? I'm going to run this in the background. Today we are working on something interesting. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do it and how it's going to work, but it should be fine, right? It should be fine. We'll work it out as we go along, so it'll be fun. So if you've been around for a little bit, you know I've been working on fleets. So why don't we actually, while that's running in the background, we can have a look. Fleets are groups of warm game servers, right? So you have a game server, it's warm, and you want to be able to pull out of that pool of warm game servers so that you can be like, I just want one right now, right? And you want to be able to allocate one out of a game server. Now, we've done a lot of this work. There's actually, what was I? There's actually a pull request. Here you can see some of the design work here in terms of being able to define a fleet. Here's a template. There's my dog in the background because where else would she be? Suki, stop it. You can define a game server, and we've got the stuff working so that you can specify, say, a certain number of replicas, right? I want 100 game servers to be in my warm set, and I want to be able to allocate out of those. So here we have a fleet allocation, which we've written previously. We'll ignore that. That should actually be fleet allocation. That's fine. And that all works, which is good. We can actually show off some of that too if we want. How that work. There's actually a pull request sitting right here waiting for me to make some small changes to it before it goes through approval. Here we go, some little nitpicks here from Eric. I'm not going to worry about this today. I'm just going to move forward, and then we can always just go back and rebase and do all sorts of fun stuff. But the part I want to talk about is kind of this part here, which is to say, what happens if I have a fleet of, say, like 100 game servers? I write some new code, and I want a new version to go up. I want to be like, oh, this is, there's a bug, right? There's a bug, and I want a new version to go up. How do we go about doing that? And that is a really good question. So it should be fun. So, okay, so that's running. That's good. Cool. All right, so let's go over here. I'll sort of set the stage a little bit. I think that's going to be, and give myself a bit of an idea of how this is going to work. I just want to have a quick look at something. Yeah, okay, that's fine. All right, so we actually have two layers. If I actually do this way, two fleets that are probably worth looking at. So let me actually pop up a buffer. That might be easier. We'll do a little ASCII diagram. So we have two layers. So when someone defines a fleet, and we'll say it's 10, for example. Where are we? I'm trying to make boxes here. This is kind of fun. So we want 10 items in a fleet, right? For example, and what we want to do is what happens behind the scenes is this then creates a thing called a where are we? We'll actually draw a line. Here we go. This is my ASCII. This is actually where we create a thing called a game server set, and we set that to 10 as well, right? And it's the game server set's job to basically, like, it's the one that spins up and spins down all the items in that fleet, right? And that's not too bad. So then if we, for example, change this to 8, then the system will come through and be like, oh, we only want 8, and then it'll drop that down on the game server set, and then this will actually create the actual game server, right? So then we'll have like multiple of these, right? So then we'll have another one, and so on and so forth. This is interesting doing ASCII out this way. Right, and this creates a whole series of game servers, right? And we would have more from there. This is not bad for ASCII out. That'll do, right? And so that sort of creates, and we would have more of those, and so on and so forth. And that's sort of the hierarchy as it currently stands. And this is good, right? This is how it's all set up. So what we then want is in theory, this is the theory that I have, is that, so if we have a fleet and we say image foo1, for example, if we, and this would then be image foo1, right? So basically, right, so I've got a particular game server image, which is like foo, and it has a tag of 1. And then if I come through and I'm like, hey, now I want this to be foo2, how do I do it? Oh, I am not showing anything. Oh my God, that's just silly. There we go. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that to me. All right, let me, that's just webcam. Oh my God, I'm having a good day. Clearly I have not had enough caffeine. That should be better. All right. Let me backtrack for a sec then. So this is the layout as it currently stands. So let me step through that again, just so we can see that, and you can see it visually, because Evil X Yardex Gnome, thank you for pinging that. That's better. I apologize. Oh man, first thing in the morning. Okay, so we have a fleet. When we create a fleet, and this works right now, say we have a fleet, we want to have 8 game server images. It creates this game server set. So it does that. And if we update the game server set, say I make fleet equals 10, let's run through this again. I make that 10, then that'll flow through. That code already does that. And then the game server set's job is to go through and create game servers that are behind that set. That's all good. I see a question there from Dev. Hi. I have a question about Kubernetes platform. Is that secure creating Kubernetes pod with REST API? Any better way than that? Can you suggest some way of creating REST pods in Kubernetes? Yeah, so Dev, if you go through the Kubernetes API itself, it has a whole, it has a whole secrets and like there's a JSON security token and all that kind of stuff. So the Kubernetes API is very secure. It's up to you on how you want to lock that down. There's a secure, you can go through the like Go command lines, which is what we do in this. If you're running from inside the Kubernetes cluster, there's a default security token that comes through, and you got RBAC permissions, so you can lock down what can do what. There's all sorts of fun stuff in there too. So yes, you definitely want to be able to do stuff through the programmatic API. That's what it's there for. Okay, so topic at hand. All right, so now we have a fleet, and it creates a game server set, and this updating of numbers is all fine. The bit that we don't have is if we have an image of foo1 and we want to make this foo2, what we really want to actually have happen is we want to create a new game server set. And we'll have a couple of different strategies for this, but I think let's work through this. So rather than, we can't, what we really want to do is say, it seemed like a good idea at the time when I was writing it. Oops, no, I want to go to the next line. So really what I want here is a whole new game server set, which is 10, right? Because we want 10 of them. Or maybe not 10 straight away. Maybe, okay, let's actually think about that for a minute. But we need an image with foo. Image, where is it? Foo2. So, and then from there, this would then create a bunch of the new versions. So the theory being that what we would end up doing, depending on our strategy, and I've got 2 different strategies. We've got one which is just a straight replace. Right, we flip from one to the other, kind of like a red-green deployment, and the other one, which is like a roll update. I think today we'll just look at the replace. So what we could do is we could create the new game server set, which is fine. We could scale this down to 0, which is okay. We could do that. And then we could scale this up to 10, which is the number that we want. Now, that is okay, but we do run into a small issue. The issue that we run into is that what if people are actually already playing on these game servers? We don't want to interrupt that gameplay. That's bad. And we already have part of this in that these game servers have a state, and if they're being played on, oh, that's fun. If they're being played on, let's move that all across. They'll be in the state allocated. And the game server set already has code in place to say, hey, if something's already allocated, don't delete me, because that would be bad. Because we don't want games to be dropped out. That would be bad. We don't want people who are currently playing a game dropping out. That would be terrible. So what that means then is, what we might need to do is in fact keep an eye on... Okay, let me ask this interesting question. So here's an interesting question. If, say, we have 10 images, we're saying we want a fleet of 10. Usually if that follows down to a game server set, that means that we have 10 game servers that are either allocated or ready, so ready to go from the pool. If we create a new, a new game server set because we have a new image, right? And we want to flip between one and the other. And there's one that's currently allocated. That would then mean that we probably want this to actually be 9 and then get updated as this comes along. So that makes sense too. That works too. So I think that's the approach we want to take. I think that makes sense. And then we can look at this as it goes through and say, okay, well, once this dies, then we can up this number and we can grow from there. I think that makes sense. The other interesting question is, how do we know which game server set is like the active one or like the primary one? And I think I actually just thought of this. Originally I was thinking maybe we need to have like a label or some sort of annotation on the game server set to say, hey, this is how this is going to work. But I think we can actually look at just the image, because if these two line up, then we know that this is like the active one. And if this one ends up going to 0, we can delete it. So there's that too. Okay. So I think that gives me a bit of an idea of how I think this should go. I should probably save this. It's actually not a little bad little image. It kind of worked. I was just hacking about on it. So that's kind of fun. All right. So I think that makes sense. I think we'll run forward with that kind of idea. So what I'm going to do actually as well. All right, so that's actually, if anyone wants a demo of fleets in action, I can actually throw that up here real quick too, if you're at all inclined. But we can move forward from there. I'm actually going to just git checkout. Whoops. Yep. Git checkout -b. Call it feature fleet replace. So I'm just going to do replace. Cool. All right. So what I need to do is actually this part here, which is the strategy part here. And we'll probably need to, well, I don't think I have a data structure for this yet, or validation for it either. So let's do that. Let's start with the data structure because we need to do that. At least for the part where we need to do it. So, okay, let's have a look-see. Where am I thinking? Okay, so first things first, I could start in one of two places. I could start in inside here where we CRDs. We have a fleet, and this has a bunch of properties already. Yeah, let's start here. We're gonna call it, okay, so under replicas, here we go. We're gonna call it strategy, and it's a type. It'll be a, actually, it'll be an enum, won't it? Okay, I need to look this up. So what we're doing is we're setting up some of the validation parts, and the only part I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go strategy, and we're gonna call it, I think, how do we do this? Okay, so strategy, and then we've called it type. Type is a value. How do we do this? This is actually interesting. I'm going to say properties. Yes, here we go. Type. How do we do this? I think this is right. We'll see if this works. So strategy has a set of properties. that is, I want to say, where are we? Where are we? So let's have a look. kubectl, Kubernetes validation, custom resource definition. Can't remember it off the top of my head. Here we go. Validation. Thank you. Open API through schema. Thank you. Okay, so that's actually like a little bit of JSON that shows us. And schema object. Here we go. Type enum. Here we go. That's actually what I want. So if I can see an example of an enum, here we go. Port enum. Okay. Oh, interesting. So this should be type enum raw. No, that's not what I want. I have a bad feeling this is not going to work, but we'll see how we go. Because I have a feeling type is a. We want recreate or rolling update. We'll do both. Or recreate. Okay. Okay. In theory, that should give me some validation. Let's see if that works. We'll actually install it. Make minikube install. I've got like a little thing that'll take my Helm chart, so that'll run that. Where are we? Cool. That looks like that worked. It hasn't complained. So actually, just so you know, I've got a bunch of make targets, and what that does is, where we go, Helm upgrade install, and then it sets like the image and that kind of stuff. So that looks like that worked. Let's actually have a look. Kubectl describe crd. I think that'll work. There we go. Yeah. That looks like that's pretty happy. Where are we? Let's have a look. Replicas template version. Oh, that's got all kinds of stuff because we've actually got a bunch of, here we go, enum, type, properties. Okay, that looks like it's okay. Let's see if we broke anything. Let's just run a fleet and see if we broke anything. Oh, just because we saw a lot, Helm has an include, and we've got like the game server validation just in include, which makes life easy. So fleet should still work. Should be nothing in here. Oh, there's stuff in here. All right, so let's actually delete the fleet that we have. And we'll recreate it. And we'll see if anything works or anything breaks. Cool. kubectl apply the chef examples. Simple UDP. Fleet. Oh no, server. Fleet.yaml. All right, so that worked. kubectl get fleet. Beautiful. kubectl get like say pods. There should be like 2 of them. Oh. Ooh, something didn't work. Something's broken. Something's very broken. Unless there's something wrong with my fleet. Let's have a look. All right, so I broke something already. That was quick. Examples, simple UDP, server, fleet. Should be 2 of them. That's there. Unless, all right, so describe fleet, simple UDP. Unless there's a bug in my code, which is also possible too. Yeah, something broke good. All right. Something really weird happened. I wonder if I have a bug in my code about when I'm trying to replace a fleet that I may need to look at. That's totally different. Let's have a look. I'll tell you what, let's delete everything. Go from a clear slate. Let's even delete the pod. Start the controller all over again. Let's go from a completely clean slate. There's no game servers. There's no game server sets. Where are we? Really? Okay. That's weird. I thought I had that as a small version. Game server set. No, wrong one. Install. Let's have a look. It's always fun when things go wrong. CODs. Game server set. Short set. Oh, lowercase. My bad. Okay. Spiffy Buns. What terminal do you use for Windows? I am not using Windows. I am using Linux. So good question, Spiffy Buns. So this is just a GNOME terminal. I run a Xmonad tmux. It's a Xmonad with it's a tiling window manager on Windows. Oh, I'm sorry, on Linux. And this is tmux, which is a tmuxifier. So it just does that kind of stuff. So that's okay. So we are clean now. I think there's a bug in my code, but let's actually have a look. All right, so kubectl up. Let's just apply it again. Example: simple UDP server fleet.yaml. All right. Scribe fleet simple UDP. Okay, that's working now. I think there's a bug in my code, so I'm going to make a little note to myself that something weird happens. I should probably write a proper ticket, but I think there is a bug when trying to create a fleet that previously used to exist. While game servers no longer... oh, I think I know what it is. Have yet to shut down. Okay, I'll come back to that at a later date. Okay, but that's better. So fleets are now running. Okay, so we can see we have 2 ready replicas. If we have a look at game servers or GS, which is the short, we can see we have 2 of them. That's right. Okay, so that's up and running. Cool. And we haven't broken anything. It's just it looks like there's an existing bug in my code, which is fine, which is good. That's what we do live streaming for, because that allows us to find bugs in codes. Okay, so that's a good start. The other thing then what we'll need to do is inside our Go code is define that we need the information for where are we, for that stuff. So where are we? So here we go. So fleet, for example. Okay, so we have a fleet. Here's our fleet file. We have a fleet spec, right? So this is replicas. This is all the information we were talking about before. But we need a data structure to contain the scaling stuff. So we call it strategy. And we'll keep it simple. We'll call it strategy. It can be a, what do we want to call it? A fleet strategy. So this is where things actually get interesting. So I'm gonna actually deviate here for a little bit. So if you've worked with Kubernetes before, you may also be aware of the fact that this looks very reminiscent for how deployments work. If you actually look at how deployments work inside Kubernetes itself, you'll see the same layering that we were talking about before, right? So if I actually bring back up that scratch, my dog is back. Oh, it's gone. No. Oh, do I still have it? Do I still have it? I should have kept it. I knew I should have kept it. The same layering exists in terms of, there it is. The same layering, so here we have like a fleet on it with a game server set underneath it. The same layering exists inside deployments. So they have a deployment where at the top level, and then they have a replica set at the bottom. So what this means is I can actually look at how they do it on there and on inside Kubernetes itself, and we'll tweak it to basically be able to deal with the fact that our state is a little different. We can't shut down servers while people are playing on them, things like that. We can do it before people play on them, but we sort of have this transitive period with game servers between stateless and stateful that we need to sort of take advantage of or be aware of, I think is probably a better term. So let's see. All right. So what I want to do, and I do this a lot, is actually just have a look at what Kubernetes is doing under the hood. So here's the Kubernetes Git repository. We might make that a bit bigger so that's a bit easier for everyone to see. I know it's called a deployment. So here we go. So here's an interesting thing. Actually, it'll be under controllers deployment, or is it controller deployment? I think it's controller. There we go. Here we go. Yeah. Controller deployment. This is the. So if you're actually interested in like how to build controllers and that kind of stuff and operators, and the code inside Kubernetes is actually pretty good for checking out. And they've got a variety of stuff in here. So we're gonna pop that open, and we're gonna dig into this. But what I want to do is basically probably copy the data structure that they have for this. In fact, I could maybe even copy it directly or just embed it. Maybe. I don't know. Let's have a look. That could work. Where are we? All right. So what I want to see is an actual deployment data structure. I've got a really great plugin. If you haven't used it, it's a thing called SourceGraph. If you don't use it, I recommend it. It's free. It's open source. And it gives you a lot of really nice, we'll have a look in a minute, inspections and stuff, right? Like all this stuff where I can click it and go to definitions of things and find references. It works really well with Go code, actually. I highly recommend. Okay, extensions deployment. Here we go. All right, we don't like that deployment. That's bad. That's fine. Actually, I don't really care. I just want the structure of it. Which deployment? So which deployment do you use? Oh, interesting. There's the replica set. It says that's deprecated. I don't know. Let's actually go to definition and see what's in here. See, that's really nice, right? Like, it gives you nice introspection there, which is super nice. What was that last tool named? Oh, SourceGraph. It's this here. SourceGraph right there. You can get it as an extension. You can actually do it on like your own, whatchamacallit, on your own repositories. You can like pay them for it and stuff too. SourceGraph is super handy. But yeah, like this is like my go-to tool now for just being like, how did this thing work inside the GitHubs? All right, sweet. So this gives us access to deployment. Apparently this is the deprecated version, but I will not worry about it because I actually don't care right this minute. Interesting. I wonder if there's another deployment around or just they don't care right this moment. Okay, this group version of deployment is deprecated. See release notes for information. Interesting. Is there a different type of... Oh, interesting. So if we go into... So that's in the extensions, whereas this got moved to v1 beta 1. But, whatchamacallit, which means it's in a different repository. So let me, here we go. I can click this and view it on GitHub. So let's pop over here for a sec. And we'll have a look and see. We'll find it, which will be fun. So this is now in apps v1 beta 1. So if we have a look, I don't think it's in here anymore. Kubernetes API. Yeah, core apps. It's in apps v1 types. Here we go. Stateful set. So there's deployment in here. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Now, I was able to find that just so you're clear that because I am aware that if I go into, say, for example, the reference, and I look at, say, that one, that's fine. I don't actually care. We know that deployment is a v1, is an apps v1 version, right? And everything's kind of versioned. So I can actually go in and be like, okay, that's in the apps v1 directory with types.go. That's where it would be. All right. So here we have a deployment and a deployment spec. That's cool. All right. So that's very similar to what we have. We have a fleet and a fleet spec. And then we have this thing called a deployment strategy, which is cool. They call it a strategy and a deployment strategy. And I'm wondering, can we just steal it? Because I don't think we've changed anything in here. Deployment strategy type, recreate or rolling update. Default is rolling update, exactly the same as what we would normally do. I wonder if we can just steal it. Let's just steal it. Let's just use it. Yeah, I'm not seeing any particular downside. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm really not. So let's actually have a look. So here's the strategy. Deployment strategy would be apps v1. And then like deployment strategy, because we might as well leverage it, right? I don't think there's any downside here. So now we can click through and do stuff. Rolling update is a rolling update deployment. They have some extra functionality in here. Maximum pods can be unavailable. I think we do the same sort of thing. If I look at my design doc here, yeah, see, we do the same thing. So like, might as well copy it. Might as well reuse it. I think that makes the most amount of sense. Okay, so that's cool. All right, so that wasn't too bad. All right, so what I will need to do is regenerate this. So there's code generation tools for when you do this type of stuff for Kubernetes. Where are we? It's CodeGen. Yeah, there it is. So if you're writing operators or controllers, this is a library you want, code generator. This is basically the thing that takes that Go file that we just did and spits out a bunch of API, basically clients that we can take advantage of. All right, so that's changed. So I actually have strangely enough, I have a thing. So GenCRD client runs a little GenCRD client.sh and generates a bunch of stuff out for us. You can see this all in the GitHub repository, like it's all described there. So that's all run. So let's actually see what changed. Okay, so there's a few little things that changed. Why did the controller test change? Interesting. Let's have a look. Controller test. Yeah, this file here. What changed? Or did something change? Did it like yeah, it's doing weird stuff. Move stuff around. Okay, that's fine. That's weird. Something go formatted. I will worry about that later. That's not a big deal. Okay. So we have that structure in there. Cool. Hey Cbro, how you doing? Cbro is a teammate, work friend. Usually sits just a little bit down for me in the office. Okay, so I've generated out those things. So that gives me a deployment strategy. I have that data. Okay, so we're going back to this thing. So we've got a fleet. We have an initial game server set that has like say 10 things in it, and we'll want to create a new one. So let's the one step at a time, right? So let's commit this. Git add -a, git commit data structure for the fleet for changing images. Okay, cool. That's a good start. All right, so let's see if we can work out the right place in the code to do this. This is gonna be really interesting. So fleets, we have a fleet controller. I wrote some notes in here when we were in here last time. Where are we? So, okay, so actually, if you're not familiar with the flow of how like a controller works, it's really just like a queue processing system. It's really like nothing too fancy. We have this thing called a worker queue. I'm using a lot of the libraries that come with Client Go. And basically, as things change, say, for example, when a fleet gets added or updated, or maybe a game server set gets added or updated, I basically just put the fleet in the queue, and then it keeps trying it until it passes through, which is very standard controller stuff. So everything basically comes down into this sync fleet function here, which is getting a little bit more complicated, and so we might want to pull some parts out of it. We'll see how we go. So syncing of a fleet, we get a key that comes in, like what's the namespace and the name for it. We grab it, assuming it's there, right? If it's not, we just eject out. We have a look at what game servers, we grab all the game servers that are currently available. If there's not a game server, sorry, if we grab all the game server sets that are available. If there isn't a game server set available, then we create one. That seems like a good idea. Sweet. Now, like this is a bit here that I wrote, right? So for now, if we're ignoring any change to the template, we'll handle on the next PR, right? So we're going to handle that now. Therefore, we're going to assume at the moment that there's only ever one game server set for a fleet. All right, but this is no longer true. Okay, so I'm just thinking this through. This is probably going to get a little unwieldy, but I'm not going to worry about it just yet. I think I'll end up pulling it apart a little bit later. I'm sort of thinking through here, and I'm thinking through here. So here, it's this. What is this active game server set? What is that thing? And what does that mean? I think what I want to have happen is what you call it is be able to specify the active game server set. What does Zebra say? It says today I learned that Mark is intimately familiar with Nano. I am intimately familiar with Nano because like Vim and Emacs confuse me, and I've never put the time into either of them. So yeah, that just doesn't happen. So that's fine. So so what I'm gonna do actually is I want to write a function. I'm gonna write a function to get this started so that I can work out what my active game server set would be. And the way that I think I will do that is by looking at the image on the game server and see if it matches up to the replica. But actually here, let me backtrack. So let me think this through. All right. So, let's see if we can work out the logical progression. And I think some of this is just gonna be working out logical progression today. If the image on the, actually, let me, get the current active game server set based on, okay, for this fleet. If the current game server set image does not equal the fleet image, actually, it's not even image, it's the template. It's the game server set template. Game server, yeah, game server template. We'll get into that in a minute. Doesn't have the fleet game server template. Whoops. I wish I could do. Does anyone know if you can do like to-dos that span lines somehow? Then create a new game server set with the new image, but with a replicas of 0. Do some stuff here to translate one to the other. Don't know what yet, but we'll come back to that. That's the and then profit, right? And Sebro, you're hosting to me. That's so lovely. Thank you so much. Set the active game server set to the new one. All right, so that's that part. All right. That seems reasonable. Okay. So all right, so I need a function that probably looks something like this. Active equals probably from the controller. That would make sense. And I have the list, so that's good. Find active game server set. I think active is a decent enough word. We'll work with that. Passing in the fleet and the list of game servers. Let's see how that goes. We can work from there. All right, so let's create the method. Yep, thank you. Controller. Yeah, IntelliJ is pretty nice. It does some pretty good. We'll call that list. I prefer list. It does some really good like introspection and determining what's going on. So I'm gonna, yeah, that seems fine. All right, so let's write a finds the game server set that matches whose template or game server matches the game server template on the fleet. That should work. Okay, so cool. The we may have a problem in that maybe it can't find it. and then what happens then. But let's work it from there, and we'll see how we go. I'm actually not sure. If that happens, that's a really bad thing. And we may just eject it. In fact, we may, yeah, I think we'll need to. In fact, yeah, I think we're going to have to return an error if that's not found. I don't think we can get away with that. Ugh, that's ugly. All right, we'll leave that over there. In which case here, oh, I did that in the wrong order. Why do I always do that? I always put error first for some reason when I'm writing Go code. There we go. Can I drop that to the next line? Or maybe I drop that to the next line. There we go. That's cleaner. Okay. And if error does not equal nil, just gonna return the error. Basically, I'm gonna go try again. I feel like, yeah, we're gonna try again. So if I return error from my sinker, then it goes back in the queue and it just keeps going. So that's cool. All right, that seems reasonable. And so basically return. Do we have a standard error not found? That would be just kind of handy. Fair enough. Return errors.new. Could not find game server set. That'll be my default. Okay. So now it should be pretty straightforward. We're gonna have to use reflection. Blah. All right. So yeah, let's yeah, so okay, so for underscore gs set in the range of the list if gs set dot spec dot template. Let's see if it'll let me do this. I have a feeling it won't. Fleet dot spec dot template return gs set no. Okay, so that's gonna complain at me because invalid operation operating not on. All right, so that doesn't like that. And they are the same types, which is worth noting, right? So if I go back in here, right, fleet spec template is a game server spec template. A game server template spec. Here, if I look at this one, it is a game server template spec. So they are the same. Lowercase c is more idiomatic. Oh, that is true. Thank you. Thank you, C bro. So I wish this was better. I'm going to be gross and do reflect dot deep equals. Thankfully, this operation doesn't happen very often, right? You're not actually changing your template on like every second or anything like that. It's kind of a once-off, once you do a new deploy. So it shouldn't be too bad. The interesting question that that's a good start, and we should probably write a test for this. I'll write a note to myself. Right, test for this. I definitely follow like a to-do driven development process. The interesting question I've actually always wondered, and maybe we'll explore it because we're going to continue on, is that we do have these code generation libraries. Yeah, Seabro, what the fuck? Why can't you compare these two statuses? Sorry, apologize for my swearing. So yeah, like I should be able to, right? But it says that I can't. So maybe Seabro, you can, since you are so good at the going, let's put it back and see what the error message is. Yeah, it doesn't. Often it won't let you. basically the thing I get back is invalid operation, right? It's equals is not defined. If I try and compile this, for example, let's say if I just try and run the test. If I can, there we go, run controller test, and it will compile. And compiling, and there we go. Yep, see, struct containing, yeah, it's the object meta that just is not a happy camper. I've run into this before. Now what we could do though, here's an interesting one, is we could actually look at the spec, because we don't, let me think about this for a sec. If the object meta changes, what should happen? Because really what we care about is changes in the game server spec, which is like the container and the port policy and all that kind of fun stuff. Although realistically, the only thing we actually care about is, whatchamacallit? Anything in here changes. Actually, anything in here changes, then yeah, we want to go through the whole thing. But it doesn't like, the thing it doesn't like is this thing, object meta. I'm not sure why, actually. I wonder if there's a func in here somewhere. String, maybe it's the UID, string in64 time. It could be the maps. Pointers. Yeah, I don't know why. It does not like object meta. But if we look at, let's think this through. We're not going to write, yeah, we're already deep into this. Like a fleet, a template can have different labels. Yeah, see, if the object meta changes, we really do want to create a whole new thing. We want to change that. So we're gonna we'll stick with deep equals. So the interesting thing here, yeah, these code generators can be used. I'm almost wondering whether we could generate some deep equals, but I don't know. The only thing is, this is not the best documented on what's generatable out of this thing. I wish it was, but it's not. So it comes from here, which doesn't help me. I've actually wondered whether or not there was a deep equals in here. So maybe we'll actually have a look. Examples, maybe. Nope. What's in GoDeps? Here we go. Maybe it'll actually give me some idea of what's possible. No. So to give some context, if you're at all interested, SDKs, no, package, APIs, stable, there we go. Fleet, that's good. So here we can see K8's deep copy gen, for example. And then we specify what it is that we want. There's a bunch of stuff in there that's possible, but I wonder, well, here's an interesting question. So why don't we actually search the Kubernetes repository and see if there's like a deep equals type thing. So like if I look for a deep copy gen, for example, I can see that shows up in a bunch of places, which is great. I wonder if there's a deep equals. Let's have a look. And the answer says no. Okay, so we're not going to do that. All right, then we're going to reflect, and if it becomes a problem, we'll fix it at a later date. And I might go bug some of the people in SIG API machinery and be like, hey, is this a thing that we can do? I've definitely seen reflect being used in controller code before. It's not great, but it's there. Cbro, oh, were those structs from different packages? Yes, they are. They are from, no, sorry, these two structs are the same struct. So template is both game server template spec. Inside game server template spec, that's from different packages. So Reflect should work because I've used it before. But you know what? Let's write a test and find out. We've got 9 minutes. We've got 9 minutes. Yeah, it looks like we didn't get very far into this, but that's okay. We had to look at how this is going to work. So let's write a test. Somewhere down here sounds good. Test. Okay. So what do I need? I need a fleet and I need some game server sets. So I can probably steal some of this stuff. I'm just going to steal like a default fixture. Perfect. That'll actually do the job quite nicely. All right, so I get a fleet. So fleets, I got a default fixture of a fleet. I've got a game server set that I've created out of my fleet, so it should have the same values, which should work. Then I'll create a whole new. I don't actually want to change it. I want it to stay the same, but I want to give it a name. I'll create a whole new game server set as well. We'll call that one. Equals game server set spec is whatever. Actually, no, sorry. I want to do this because I want the game server set to come from this, but what I want is I want it to have, I don't know, template dot, it actually doesn't matter what I change, it should just be something, spec dot, ugh, no, I don't like any of that. Spec.template.spec. What's a good thing that I can do here? Change the host port. There we go. Host port equals 9999. Something random. So this is the same template, and it should be a different game server template. I'm gonna need some reactors to populate my cache, which I can just steal, and I will want to start the informer. Cool. Okay, so that's populating my data set inside the Kubernetes testing library. And then we'll say active error equals c dot find active game server fleet. So we'll put this in the fleet. And actually I don't need this. Sorry, I don't need any of that because this just takes a list. So I can actually just do an array of pointers to game server sets, which has GS set 1 and GS set 2. Yeah, I actually don't need any of that stuff. So that should work. Any interesting questions? Hi from Spain, Danielle Vigueras. Hi from Spain to you too. Hi from San Francisco. All right, we have 5 minutes. So let's get this test finished and we'll see if this works. But this is, oh yeah, this is a start. I don't need those mocks. It's just a start, but we'll keep on building on top of here. All right, so assert.nil, whoops, t-error. Cool, and assert.equal t, it should be GSSet1, and active should be the response. Okay, let's see if what I did works. Sweet, that passes. That's beautiful. All right, cool. That does exactly exactly what I should do. So yeah, deep equals does work. It finds for me the one that I want. So let's commit that. Actually, we'll do that and make sure that's cool. And we'll commit that. So find the active game server set for fleet. That seems pretty good. All right. And we wrote a test for that, so we can get rid of that. So That should be good. So that should set the active game server set. How much time we got? We got 4 minutes left. Okay, cool. What do we want to do from there? Okay, so we didn't get as far into this as I would hope, but that's all right. That's an hour. We do only run for an hour, unfortunately, for first thing in the morning. But let's have a look. All right, so that I can get rid of, so we can clean that up. You know what? Just T, that's fine. We'll, just drop that in there. Okay. Let's build this and see whether I broke anything. We'll have that run in the background while that's going on. So we'll see if we broke anything. So in theory, we should still be able to scale fleets up and down. They should all still work. Just got a couple of minutes. I just want to make sure if that, where are we? I want to make sure in case I just ran a little bit over and we can see if this works. I just want to make sure this works and show you that it works. And if it doesn't, well, then things are broken, but that's okay. Cool, I can run a little over. I'm good, I'm good. I'm good for a little bit longer. Excuse me. Okay. Cool. All right, so... Okay, let's see if that's running. All right, so we're good. We're good for a little bit of time. Greetings from Singapore. Oh, awesome. Welcome to Singapore. That's where my wife's family is from. Excellent. So this is building. Hopefully nothing breaks. In the meantime, anything that I can explain or talk about that's kind of cool. So we have the fleets. Come on, build. Let's just plugging away. Yeah, for interest sake, if you would all care, so I'm running IntelliJ on here. That's what has been my IDE environment for a really long time, and I'm very used to it. And I like it a lot, which is also super nice. Just to give you the shout out, why not? Since we're here. Yeah, so usually I stream sort of 9 o'clock Pacific time, so right about like an hour or so ago from now on Tuesdays. I also tend to do, I try and do a bunch of impromptu ones, so if I have a free hour block somewhere, then I'll hop on. So please definitely, whatchamacallit, if you have a chance, definitely like follow me on Twitter, follow me here on Twitch. I also put the videos up on YouTube. The links are below. So if you're ever like, how did he do that thing? You can always go back and have a look. The videos stay up on Twitch, but they're sort of 14 days. So if you want them up on YouTube, I usually get them up around the same day that I usually do my videos too. If not by next day. So that usually works as well. All right, cool. That's gone in. Let's have a look. So let's have a look at our controller. Make sure nothing bad happened. That all looks like nothing bad happened. So sweet. So let's deploy my server. And then we'll also scale it up and down and see if there anything breaks. All right. FLT is just the shorthand version for fleet. That's okay. It's probably overshot just slightly. It does that sometimes. But it'll be, if I actually look at my pods, yep, we'll see we have 2 of them. Perfect. All right, so we have 2 game servers. I look at game server. Yep. The trick I like is if I look at state. So each of them has a state. They mark themselves as ready because they have an SDK. I wish Agones existed in 2010. Would have been perfect fit for this Slack we dreamed of back then. It would have been hard for this to exist in 2010 because I don't think Kubernetes was a thing in 2010. But yes, I'm very impressed with the sort of infrastructure that exists in this day and age. It's super nice. All right. So if I want to edit fleet simple UDP. This is the litmus test. Let's put this up to 5. Okay, so that's edited. If I describe my fleet simple UDP, okay, it's overshot all again a little bit. That's okay, I don't care. It'll scale back down. But it looks like, if I look at my game servers, I've got 6, 5? 5. Beautiful. I've got 5 of them. They're all up and running. That's great. If I grab state, they're all ready. Sweet. So I didn't break anything. That's good. Cool. That's actually really good. So we didn't break anything. And if we have a look at our logs, I'll just grab everything because it's easy. Nothing looks like it broke. Everything's doing like all the things it should do. This looks like a lot of text. It's fine. I'm just looking for where it says, bad thing happened. And nothing really does. A lot of this is really just like, hey, some data came in. Let's see if we should sync it. Oh, no, we don't want to sync it. It's fine. For example, here, right? Like we enqueue a key and then just nothing happens because it's no op as stuff comes through, which is fine. Cool. All right. So I'm going to... I'm pretty happy. So that's a good start. We laid out some structure. I'll probably keep working on this in the background and then sort of come back to it when I start streaming again. So I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me for like a little session and having a chat. Like I said before, normally stream around 9 a.m. I usually stream 9 a.m. Pacific on Tuesdays, but definitely follow me on Twitter @Neurotic, here on Twitch. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel as well if you just want to get the videos and check them out later. Usually playing with this and just writing code for Agones and running game servers and doing all that kind of good stuff. Yeah. Again, thank you very much for hanging out for me. I usually run for about an hour, so that's about it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. I'm always on the Agones Slack. I'm on Kubernetes Slack. You can find me all over the place. All right. Thank you very much. And if I don't see you all again at some point this week, I will see you again at some point later next week. All right. Catch you all later.